how to progress cast on crit Ice Nova. Basically, I always tell you guys, we level as Orb of Storms, Wave of Conviction. Check out Tahi23's race videos. Check out Tai Killer's, how to race videos with Orb of Storms, Wave of Conviction. Same thing. You get all your information from that. It's literally how we do it. The trees are very, very similar. It doesn't cost a lot to respec. That's why I pick it. When to progress into custom crit Ice Nova. I have it set that we do it at level 84 because it's probably what level you're going to be and how long it's going to take you to get currency. At least even if you're racing at the start, it's about day one. So I got like level 84 day one normally. Like get level 90. It's not really that big of a deal. Anyway, that depends on you as a player. Totally individual for each and every single person. So try your best. This is what the tree looks like. We've actually got this in the current POB. It's been updated for 3.10 to include the early game setup. So exactly this tree right here. Your end game setup and your end game setup with the new cluster jewels that come out here. Cluster jewels could be improved. It's just the ones that we had to test with because I've got to import them because POB doesn't actually have like good support for it yet. Anyway, I digress. So, what does your start game setup look like? It is the classic 1 Cosprey's Malice, 1 Lycosidate, Life, and Res Gear. 14% cooldown recovery. I know this is obviously crazy Stygian Vice. I took the gem out of it, so it doesn't matter. Just imagine this is that it has Life, cooldown recovery, 20% damage, and res. The flask charge thing isn't really that great, let alone that important. Your flask, Quicksilver, same one it was, anti-freeze. I also happen to have a diamond flask as anti-freeze, but I don't really want to roll these. It's Series Promise, very, very gettable, not really crazy rolls, you'll live. Basalt flask, Curse Immune, please get this. You know what I mean? And then just your classic instant divine life flask, nothing special, bleeding. That's the basics you should have to set up, okay? So, whereabouts is this? Oh, yeah, sorry, I'll go through the gem links. Okay, so where does that land you? Regular Cyclone. Please try and get a level 21 gem. Don't worry about the quality. It literally just adds AoE. It does nothing. Doesn't need to be Val. Cast on crit, regular. Okay? Concentrated effect. Increased critical strikes. Hypothermia. Not added cold. Not inspiration. None of those other things. I took a whole bunch of the options out of the POB because people were linking me trees and gear and stuff that look nothing like the tree I linked them, okay? So, it has been made basic. Basic as basic can be. I've also named everything. It says early game on it so you don't get confused. You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to dial back the options for you guys to pick from because somehow people end up with stuff that isn't even really on my POB, so I don't really know what's going on there. But anyway, what we're going to do now, what can this do? This is your basic setup. The setup is in there. Your Flame Dash, it's got an Enlighten. You can put a second wind here. It's not meant to be a portal. It's regular Flash and Stone. By the way, the Enlighten does nothing for people that are about to panic, okay? Take this out, it literally does nothing. Bam. Okay? Still got mana. Guess what? We sustain mana. Sustain mana, fine. Okay? Not a thing. I don't know why people keep telling me, oh, I'm having trouble with mana sustain. You're probably doing something a little bit different, okay? I don't know. So anyway, there. Your cast when damage taken setup goes in here. We're still using Steel Skin. It still doesn't have levels on it, aside from that, obviously, because I just picked these ones up randomly. Vortex setup. People seem to love it. Okay, use it. Whatevs. It's a regular to me. Like, I always forget to use it. I just have it mixed with an Arcane Surge. I have Grace in the setup, or whatever. Actually, I'm just going to put this back in, just for the sake of argument. I don't want to lose these gems, by the way. So, Grace. File Grace. Just helps with the build every now and then. I actually forget to use it like a million times. Let's put a random map in. Whereabouts did this land you? You can do T16s with this already, okay? But the boss is going to feel like slightly worse. So, what's our current budget? About 6x, I'm going to say. So, the cost boost is going to cost you 5, going off current values. Obviously, this is due to fluctuate. You can really jag these for about 2x at the start of the league, day 1 or whatever. So, really, really possible to get one of these day 1. Not a big issue. This is like 4C. Ultra easy to get, not really an issue. Tabby! Can't tell me you can't get one of these, okay? Cannot tell me you can't get one of these. Okay, so, where's this going to take me? All the way to red maps. We're just going to do a very quick city square. Quick Alk and Go strat. Bam, okay. Yep, it's reflect. Not dodge immune. Hey, look, man, it's totally gets us. It's elemental equilibrium as well, and we have no way around it. We have no pen. Okay, sweet. So this is a pretty brutal map for us, okay? This makes our build look like dog shit. That's fine. That is actually fine. Oh, by the way, this is people that's going to say, oh, man, no. It's Awaken level 8, okay? It's going to be as brutal as it literally gets for you. Works. Works fine. Okay, so we're going to skip all the BS, and we're just going to go try the bosses. This is where I sort of suck a little bit. So the damage, it's not great. You know what I mean? Like, but this is also your starter gear. Okay? Boom! It's not as big an issue as people make it out to be. People telling me, I can't do yellows, I can't do whites. I think you people are pulling my leg. This is a level 86 tree. Beginner gear. 21 Ice Nova is all you're going to need for this damage. That's the first bit of progress. Life and res gear. What do I progress after that? Oh yeah, make sure you get this 14% cooldown recovery. Make sure it's balanced out with the attack speed thing that I always tell you. So I have 6.33 when I go into the map. You'll see me crit your elusive procs, 15% attack speed. Second. See it? It's 7.14. We're going to go back to our calculator real quick. Okay, so, bam. This thing right here. 14% CDR. Understand this. I keep having to explain breakpoints. When you've got 14% cooldown recovery, your first breakpoint is 7.49. Okay, so if you go over it, you lose Novas. If you go under it, you're fine. 7.1, 7.4. Aim between that bracket. I've already got that scoped out on the tree for you to land right on it. And a gem you can import and use that will pretty much make it so you can test exactly where your attack speed's going to land. Okay, now that's explained, move on to the next part. How do we progress it after this? You're going to get yourself Pandemonious. A lot of people saying, oh man, you said that this is a shit item. It is a shit item in the long run, and it especially was in 3.9 when I mentioned it. GGG had a patch note out that said basically, monsters were 100% immune to ailments, no matter what you did, didn't really matter. They have now revoked this, probably because they realized it was ridiculous, okay? So now that that has been revoked, my opinion is allowed to change on this. My opinion was based off the fact that monsters were 100% ailment immunity. You could not chill them, which means that 90% of the time on that super common mod, you couldn't do anything about this. Now, it's 86%. That's still awful, by the way. But once you get up to about 10 hits per second with Ice Novas and stuff like that, that means roughly once every second, you're going to be able to chill them, hopefully for more than 1 second. There will be a little bit of downtime, there will be a little playtime, and you honestly have so much damage you don't need it. So, next thing I'm going to recommend, a Pandemonious. Now we're up to about, we went from 6x worth of expenses, up to, I'm just going to say, so this is going to cost you about 4x, 5x, we're just going to be really rough here, say it's 5x, 11x, okay? Pretty cray-cray, but bam, you now have the best, hear me out on this, best in slot placeholder you can get. It's going to tie you over until you can get real gear, okay? What's the next thing after that? I don't like it personally, a Mark of the Shaper ring, okay? But to get this, right, if you have the Mark of the Shaper and you don't have an Elder ring, it can be a dogshit one like this. Don't use it. It doesn't do anything. With like one thing that, like a common theme that I'm constantly seeing is people buy like one piece of gear that doesn't have the rest of the gear with it, and then can't work out why it's not working. They're like, man, I went out and bought a an Awakened gem, level 1. Where's my crazy Ice Novas per second? And they have no cooldown recovery gear anywhere. I'm just like, I don't understand how you came to this conclusion. Anyway, so bam, you pair these two. Guess what? You're now at the point where you can actually kill Shaper. Not actually kidding, by the way. I don't know if I've still got the footage of it. I actually think I put it in the wrong folder. Anyway, long story short, we killed Shaper with this. With this exact gear, with this exact setup, you can kill an Awaken, a level 8 Shaper. Okay? This will do all your tier 16 maps. This is pretty much everything besides, and I'm going to need to specify on this one, Cyrus the Awakener, who is now a very, very RNG heavy boss fight. There's nothing I can do about this. There's nothing really to, to say about it. So people want to know, okay, how do I progress my gear after this? This is where it's going to start getting a little bit tricky because you kind of need full gear in place. So next thing we're going to want, okay, also like at any point, if you guys are like just playing the league regularly, try and get a 6-link Carcass Jack. So that's our next upgrade. So our damage is like, where is it? Like 32k down here. Ignore that because obviously once we get running and we have our power charges, bam, we swap over to our next lot of gear. We've upgraded, we've got the Carcass Jack. This is where things start to feel really comfortable. We got the Mark of the Shaper, we got the Pandemonious. We got some nice gear. Get rid of the tabby, we're going to put this back here. I would still like people to grab something like this. But this is probably where a lot of you guys are going to be at for the most part. Actually, we're also going to put on a second CoC Ice Nova. Probably going to have to cut here and just swap over gems. Now swapped into double CoC. What has to change? Okay, so probably the biggest thing to tell people is like when you dual wield, there is like a hidden bonus that basically gives you more attack speed, which actually, ironically enough, throws out our attack speed. So we had it balanced before, right? We had this node here, and we had the one attack speed node down here. I have removed those, so we've actually got extra points. You can put these into other areas, extra life, whatever you want. Just for the sake of arguments, I'm not going to do that. But those are the 2 points you remove, okay? Reason being, you get a bunch of extra attack speed from having 2 CoC. We still have our usual damage setup, right? Goes into the right one. This one stays the exact same as it was. But now, we can have an Ice Nova with a concentrated effect with a life leech support. This is going to make the build feel so much better. Can't describe that enough, okay? So, our build starts to feel better here. We rebalance out our attack speed. So you'll actually notice right now that we've actually got more attacks per second. That is because we are dual wielding. If you take away the dual wielding, this doesn't happen. Yet again, this is scaled around our elusive. I'm also going to show something, okay guys? A lot of people come to me and go, man, my attack speed is 2.1 or something like that. I've got all the attack speed nodes on the tree. I've got attack speed on all my gear and I can't get it up to, you know, 9.9 or whatever I have in the video. That's because you clicked on default. Click Cyclone to work out your attacks per second, okay? If you do not do this, it's just wrong, okay? Long story short. So, another thing to point out here, okay? So look, we're still balanced out. We're just under 7.5. Those are the points you drop off the tree. Always keep this thing in balance. The second you go over, you lose 2 Novas in that whole 1 second spin period. Another thing to notice, and it's like the big cardinal sin that I keep telling people, is once you get rid of the Lycosidate, you have to have accuracy. As an absolute minimum, get at least 97% chance to hit. 1 accuracy roll, obviously 1 accuracy roll, this is why I use this particular base. And then nothing else, okay? Get this on gear. Like, you're literally just buying random gear to create your defenses. We've got plenty of defenses, man. So obviously in League, you're going to have to do whatever work you need to do to balance this out. But like, I just threw balance stuff on and then grabbed 2 lots of accuracy. That puts me close enough to my cap. We run a precision for this exact reason. Every single person I know tends to use Herald of Ice. It's not that important, especially not when you're running CoC. I will have something for those people a little bit later down the track, by the way. People are obsessed with explosions. I have a solution for you going forward, and guess what? It's got to do with the new notables. Okay, so hold that a little bit. There'll be a little surprise, maybe another video. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do. It might be one about using the POB and like all the options that come with it. Or it might be just at the end of this video as like a little bit of a nice surprise. I think I'm going to split it up though. Okay, so now we have the dual wield setup going on. This is pretty much where a lot of you guys are going to get stuck for a very long time because there's not really many upgrades without going to the 52% cooldown recovery, and then you need lots and lots and lots of extreme gear and good leveling. So, just to keep that in mind, right guys? Take away the attack speed points from here and here, okay? You can put them into life, you can put them into wherever you feel like to progress your build, but make sure your attack speed is still balanced out. When you dual wield, you have to change the setups, but this is your basic setup, okay? This solves your life leech issue. So now, all of a sudden, you don't need to rely on Flask. You've got the second CoC, you can now life leech. It's going to feel a million times better. You know, I'm going to put those 2 points into life just because I want a little bit more life. Bam. Life node. Probably shouldn't be doing this while I'm actually going, so that'll do for now. It doesn't matter. Right. Anyway, so we still don't have our defensive layers. We're still level 80. We're actually going backwards now. I'm just going to say 84. Okay, let's go do a tier 16. See how it feels. Don't really have one planned. We're going to go Colosseum. Actually, no, that's a really hard boss. Carcass? Carcass is fine. Tier 16, sweet. Okay, which can Al can go. Ooh, yep, pretty brutal. We got Ellie weakness. It's fine. We'll just keep up our flask. I don't think we're completely Ellie weakness capped. Obviously, when you're in League, you can do better with this, whatever. Still don't have our Maraketh Jewel, which is another upgrade I would like, by the way. But now we're dual wield. So we have a chunk more damage. So You know, everyone's confused. It's got dual wield, telling me, oh man, I can't do map bosses. You probably have the wrong setup. You probably have the wrong setup. Go with the classic links. The damage just feels fine, man. Like, I don't... By the way, like I said, we did Shaper with just the Lycosidate setup. The idea that you can't do bosses, you know, on Awaken level 8 or anything like that, preposterous. Absolutely ridiculous, okay? So, the damage is fine. The build is fine. You know, that's why I'm making this video right now, is because I keep receiving messages from people saying that they can't do basic bosses. You're literally following someone else's guide. You have to be. Because I'm testing this right now with all the same stuff in place. Out can go, no BS. It's all here in front of you, like... is he on the other side? Like, there's definitely room for player error, okay? So that's one thing I will mention. There's a good chance that a lot of you guys have got what I'm going to call player error. Okay, so like, this is a tier 16 boss. Instantly phased. He didn't get the chance to even run off, okay? So like, if the build isn't working, you haven't followed my build guide. Can't stress that enough. Rather than experiment and try jank mechanics, this is your setup, okay? This is pretty much endgame. You can do everything with this already. You know what I mean? Cyrus the Awakener is probably the only exception right now because GGG has currently broken him. He's got a lot of RNG involved. You can still definitely kill him with this, by the way. So, you know, at the point where you can kill Shaper, Cyrus, and everything reasonably, you know, you're pretty happy with the build. That's, you know, pretty much a stock standard cast on crit character. What do you do to take it to the next level? Okay, so this is where it starts getting extreme. So obviously, at this point, I'm expecting you to have more levels than this. I would assume, like, you'd be level 94, 95, probably 97 even. Depends on you. But now you start needing extreme gear. What is extreme gear? Okay, so first thing we're going to do is we're pretty much at the same point where we were on our last one. So we have upgraded from cast on critical to awaken cast on critical. The gem level does matter because we are going for 52% cooldown recovery. If you do not have that, do not use this gem. Which means that you actually need 2 pieces of gear. Boots that are really good, and a belt that is really good. Actually, this one's kind of meh, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Then it's awakened added cold. Now everyone goes, but hypothermia, it's so good, this, that, and the other. Hypothermia is still technically better in the event that you can chill. So you know, maybe you do actually want to use this, you know what I mean? Especially considering we can guarantee chill going forward. You can actually use this. You can actually use this now. It's no longer a big no-no. However, I happen to like awaken added cold, and I'm still going to keep it because it gives me a +1 levels. You do not get the +1 levels unless it is a minimum of level 5. So if you do not have a level 5 awaken added cold, don't use it. Just use your hypothermia. It is fine. But ultimately, I'm going to put this on. I like it. I like it a lot. No conditions means I don't have to ever think about anything. So that's 1 or 2 ginormous upgrades right there. So once you get this cooldown recovery, it allows you to go to the next bracket, which is when you, yet again, you swap to the endgame setup in POB. Your endgame setup looks something like this. You get the attack speed nodes down here, you get the dexterity nodes here, you get the attack speed one here, and that's kind of like your attack speed sorted out for you. I have 1 gem with attack speed on this, and it's not necessary. You know what I mean? Like 1. It is fine. My Koshbrees are quite well rolled. They're 14%, 14%. They have pen. That's another upgrade for you. You can just use regular ones and divine them to 14 or 13 or whatever you need to hit the bracket. The next upgrade, we drop the gloves, okay? Like just the regular Vortex setup. It's kind of meh, you know, we get Arcane Surge. It's kind of whatever. I don't really like it that much, okay? So now we have Arcane Surge, you know, permanently, and we get extra attacks. Like obviously yours don't need to be as nice as this. The point is you can use Command of the Pit. What makes Command of the Pit great? Well, 1, we get like, you can get 6% more life on it. You can corrupt 6% more life on top. That's really, really huge. It makes it easy to double corrupt. We get Arcane Surge. It doesn't show it in POB, but that's 10% more spell damage. Guess what? We run a spell, okay? Then on top of that, you can get flat damage. This flat damage is more than your Herald of Ice is ever going to be, by the way. So, bam. And then you get flat life, and you get multi. You get 2 of these, okay? Basic jewels. That's like, you can get up to 80% flat, 32% critical strike multiplier, and you can get crazy amounts of flat, like over 80 to skills, which is, you know, it's actually just insane, okay? Along with an Arcane Surge, along with the ability to double corrupt, along with the, you know, ability to get 12% increased maximum life in an ideal scenario, and base crit. Base crit that makes all of our stuff really good. So that's like, some of the upgrades right there. Next thing, you can drop this wheel here the second you get yourself a Hatred Watcher's Eye. I recommend this in the build. Get a Hatred Watcher's Eye. It does not need to be a double Hatred Watcher's Eye. It is huge for the build. It is great. So, we also replace the Pandemonious. How do we replace the Pandemonious? With Hatred has reduced mana reservation. The requirement for this, right, is to come up here, grab this Sovereignty Wheel. You need the Sovereignty Wheel. You then need the Hatred Reserve Aura. And then once you've got all that, you can squeeze in. Oh yeah, you also need an Enlighten level 4. And it needs to be for these exact ones. Precision, Hatred, and Zealotry. Zealotry gives you more spell damage, extra crit. This really, ties a nice little bow ribbon on this, build and stuff like that. It makes it super, super worthwhile. So you can get these upgrades in any fashion you see fit, but just remember this, you have to have everything in place for it to work. So if you do not have a level 4 Enlighten, don't come up here and grab Sovereignty. You know what I mean? Pardon me. Anyway, the point is, so every time you do an upgrade, make sure you have the rest of the components that come along with it, okay? It's the same thing with, like I said, with the Koshbreeze. The second you go dual wield and you drop that Lycosidate, you need accuracy in place. If you do not have accuracy in place, it does not work. So as usual, it's like, what upgrades do I get as I see them fit? You know what I mean? Like, you can just get a straight up +2 Carcass Jack, by the way. You can just get that. That's a straight upgrade for any of your builds. So maybe that might be the first thing you want to get. Maybe you want to get the auras first. You can get them in any fashion you see fit. Maybe you want the 52% cooldown recovery and you've already got the gems, you've already got the boots, you got the belt. Once you've got all these things, fantastic. You can add it to the build. But it is one of those things where it's a progressional build, which is why I have made this video in the first place. So, these are all the upgrades you can make. You can fit in all your auras, get you to the new cooldown bracket, get you extra damage on your chest piece. These are the better links for your dual wield Koshbreeze, you know what I mean, once you've got it. You can get Bone Chill now because you've got an automated system to do it with. Frostbomb isn't obviously the best way to get this, but it's fine. You can also try out the new notables, which we'll go into probably on another video when I actually explain the POB and actually go over the notables I'd recommend, etc, etc. But this is your level 100 tree. This already does all the content in the game. Does absolutely everything. You swap out your Diamond Flask because you no longer need it because you have the Hatred Watcher's Eye, which pushes you into like the insane amounts of crit that you have. You can swap to a Wise Oak. Obviously, I have mine triple balanced, I do believe. Hopefully it still is. Yep, we're still triple balanced. Really, really good. This is what I did to perfect my build. You'll notice that my gear isn't even perfect. It's not even close. I want perfect gear. I'm hoping that, a lot of people watch this build guide and go out and make it for me. I have a lot of guys that have already got some upgrades and they link it in the Discord and they've got some gear I'm very, very, very jealous of. So, maybe one day I'll get it. But the point is, now we swap to the original setup I was talking about. This is how you progress the build. At this point, you can do everything in the game crazy comfortably. All map mods we would get from just running, minus mana cost of rings. Look, no mana cost. None. So there's never an issue of like mana or anything like that. We've got Zealotry, we've got 100% crit at all times. People that want to know how to run maps or whatever, I actually take out my damage link. So I just take this out, right? And I take... You can actually take these out too, because the ones in your Koshbreeze aren't 100% crit capped, and you're never crit capped on your Ice Nova until you've got your power charges up. This is like a huge design flaw with Assassin. So, where is it? Okay, so this is the problem, right? GGG, for some reason, gave you this. 2% crit chance base, I might add. 2% base crit chance while at maximum power charges. And then we've got, you don't take damage from Reflect if you've crit. Either they need to change this to recently, or they need to just change it to like, overall, they need to change this to just 2% base crit without the condition of needing full power charges, because there's a period where you get more damage, you know what I mean? So like once I got enough damage, that like, until you get your power charges, you can nearly one-shot yourself. Maybe not nearly one-shot yourself, but it's definitely possible. So the problem is, right, is you need full power charges to reach 100% crit. And that means you have to take damage potentially while you're winding up. So until you have power charges, you're not actually at 100% crit. And you need 100% crit not to be reflected. So it's a funny little thing where, like, I don't know, it's just a big design flaw that GGG put into the game. Where they're like, yeah, you're immune to reflect so long as you're crit immune. But to be crit immune, you need to actually take damage first and get power charges. So hopefully GGG one day sees this and just goes, hey, you know what, we should just make that 2% base crit. And then all of a sudden the stock of this character goes way up because it's no longer a weird condition that needs to be met that doesn't work with their other conditions. or they turn this to recently, so like if you so much as crit once, you've actually got enough time to get your power charges up to get this. So they need to make this either recently, or they need to make this non-conditional. So one or the other, and then that will solve that problem. But otherwise, that's how you do it. We still can run early reflect. It's not actually a big issue. But yeah, that's the way I like to do it, especially once I got so much damage that, you know, I was able to wreck myself really, really easy. Next thing, the Marraketh Jewel. Super cheap to get. This is like 3x right now. Throw this in the build. You know what I mean? Like, at this point, you probably spend about 40x on the build. If you've done it right, you've done it on a budget. If you've done it wrong, it's probably going to cost you a bunch of money. Anyway, so, I don't like to do tedious upgrades. Those are the upgrades I made to get to the final, you know, progression of the build. Then it's levels, then it's gear, it's all these other nice little things that all sort of, you know, fit together. That's pretty much a summary of how to progress the build. Hopefully you guys found this, you know, information valuable. It doesn't really get much clearer than that. I've updated the POB. I'm going to make another video about the POB and all the, you know, the nice additions I've made and stuff like that. It's all named. It's all nicely lined out for you. But that is how you progress the build. From the lycosidate setup, from your leveling setup, from the whole lot. Like, the tree done for you, all the little tidbits. It's all done for you. So if I get a PM from someone and, you know, they're sitting there going, oh man, it doesn't do red maps or something like that, you've got it in this video. You've got it in this video with the most basic of basic gear. You can't tell me it doesn't work. It does work. It works on Awakener level 8. You'll probably be trying this and it'll only be like Awakener level 4. Who knows, man? But like, there's the gear. There's how you progress it. All the little things you need to know. You know what I mean? And like, after that, you're sort of on your own. I could definitely still help people out if they are really, really struggling and they don't understand something. But at the end of the day, you know, the proof's in the pudding. The build works. I've tested it. I've done it live. I've done, you know, multiple test runs to see if there's something I'm missing. Ultimately, I've, you know, sort of just come to the conclusion that people aren't really following the build guide that well. So that's why I've now made this, you know, simplified, hopefully smaller version. Should only be like 20-something minutes long, 20, 30 minutes. That explains exactly what to do, how you progress your gear, and then after that, you pretty much need a big bank balance to get to the ultra end, you know, the ultra end game. So there you go, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, all that jazz.